it's not just going to like deal with what we did in class. It's going to like give you that um uh need to go ahead and make research. Because as a front-end developer, you need to make research. Now, at least 70% of what we did is there. So it's not as if I'm giving you something that, oh, we did not do at all. At least 70% of what we did is there. But there's a 13% gap that needs you to like now go ahead and make research on your own. Now that 30% is not going to be easy. So I'm going to give you like 1 week. It's going to be a 1 week project. I'm going to try as much as possible to upload it today or tomorrow. So any day I give it to you, just so that you have able to like work on it. So I want it to be this particular week so that you have a weekend to sit down and work on it. So I'll send it to you and then you will be able to work on it. So moving on, right? There is one more thing that I want us to discuss on HTML before we go ahead and start talking about some other things. One of those things is your drop down. How do you create a drop down in HTML? So for instance, take a look at this. If I click on published, what do you have? You have make a draft. There's a drop down. You've probably seen website whereby you click on something and then there's a massive drop down, right? Or no, probably not massive. Let me check terrain health. Trying to look for. I think there was one website I worked on back then. I'm trying to think about the forgotten it. But now there is like a drop down menu. You have a lot. Sometimes you have a lot of drop downs. Sometimes you have just a little bit of drop down. Now, how do you create drop downs like this? Now, to do this, right, you use a particular tag known as your select and option tag. Now, your select and option tag are just that just help you create select options, right? Create options where you can select different options. That's basically it. Just create form fields whereby you can select different options from drop-down menus. Now, how do you do this? For instance, let's say you want to have a drop-down menu of fruits, right? Let's say fruits, right? I can have something like this, select, which is going to have, I'm going to move this name and ID for now. Now, which you want to have just this select, and I can have different options. Let's say I want to have 5 options. So let me say option rather, as you can see. So the first option, let me remove the value also. For now, we do not need it. So value option, the first one, we're gonna have let's say mango, right? You know, I'm going to duplicate this option 4 more times. So I won't have to write it again. So let's say mango, right? Orange. Let's say apple. Let's add the next one to be pineapple. Then we're also going to have guava. So if you check it out now, what are we going to have? We're going to have a drop-down menu that it is not going to be fine, but there is still a drop-down menu of something, right? Now, for it to make it fine, you can have use CSS, of course. CSS makes everything fine up. But now this is just how you create your drop-down menu. Pineapple, guava, apple, this, that. Apple text. So it can just select your age. Yes, something like that. You can have a drop-down menu. Now I'm going to do it again so you, what my opponent Copilot. I'm going to do it again so you can understand what I'm trying to say. So you're going to have, let's say, select. First of all, what you need to do, just like your form table, always have the select tag opened. Now, because I've not talked about name and ID yet, I'm just going to go ahead and remove it. Now we're going to have options. So your first option, let's say you want to select from different courses. Let me duplicate this 5 times. Let's say front-end development, right? Let's say back-end development. Let's say mobile dev. Let's say cyber security. Thank you. Next one is going to be product design. Let's have product design. Right. So now, if you go ahead and check this out, front-end development, back-end development, mobile development, cybersecurity, and product design. So if I click on one, it brings it up, click on the other, it changes it, everything is being clicked on. Do you understand? Now, this is how, now I'm just showing you all of these things. This is how you get data. You can get data from your table. But let me shock you. You can get data from your form and input those data in a table. So for instance, how do you know that? Let me ask this question like this. How do you think your Facebook data are being stored? So for instance, on Facebook, what data does a Facebook need? Profile picture, name, email, right? Age, what else? Phone number, what else? Now, all those things, all those data, how are they stored? Hmm? They collect them through forms. But then how do they store those data that are being collected through forms? Now, one thing is that what they can have a database. Now, the database can be relational or not. When we say database is database is relational if those data are being stored in a tabular form or in a particular data structure where tables are being used effectively. Now, when we talk about non-relational can just be stored in like sections rather than having a full table. But as if you want to work on a very big enterprise, most of the times you use table, and Facebook is a big enterprise. So most of the times, most likely your data are being stored in what? In tables. Now, that's just to tell you that you can get data, right, from forms and store them in a table. Now, that's why it is important for you to understand how select tag works, how form works, how table works, because those three things are very much important to you as a front-end developer. Do you understand this? Good. So now that is that about that. So we have cybersecurity, product design, mobile development, backend and front-end. So now, but if I refresh this, there is a default selection for me. Does this make any sense? No, because I should not be able to automatically select something. I should see something like select your favorite course, and then I'm not going to go ahead and pick it myself that, oh, this is the course I want to select, not it selecting something for me. Now, I can just tweak something. Now, one thing about programming is what? Tweaking. So I can have an option right here. And in this option, I can say select favorite course. That's all. But there's a problem now. You can see select favorite course, right? I can click on front-end development. I've selected it. But I can still go back and click on what? Select favorite course. And that's a problem. Because I should not be able to select this. If I select this, it can put it on my data table as a what? As a data collected. And I don't want it to collect that data. So one thing I can do is I can have an attribute called disable to disable it. So I can have disable. And if I disable this particular option, what happens is that I can no longer select. But as you can see, it has now moved from that disabled because disabled. It has moved from it to where? To front-end development. But what I want this to be selected initially. So I can now go back and choose whatever I want to choose. So I can also use another attribute known as selected. So first of all, I disabled it, then I click on selected. Now, if you check it out now, it is now automatically selected. So even if I refresh, it is still selected. Now I can go ahead and I can say security. Now as you can see, it is there, but I can no longer select it. So if I refresh, it is there. I can now select it. Now that is how you can manipulate things in programming. Again, programming is about knowing the basics and manipulating it to get what you want. Do you understand this? All right. So now that is that about HTML. Congratulations, you've completed phase 1 of front-end development. So the next remaining phases will be in the next, how many weeks out of 12? Maybe next 11. So you complete phase 1 in 1 week. Okay. So you have 11 more weeks to work on phase 2 and phase 3. So phase 2 and phase 3 is CSS. Phase 3 is your JavaScript. So, but within those phases, you're gonna have other things that you might need to understand. So we'll talk about web hosting, we'll talk about Git and GitHub, and then we'll also talk about understanding how to use Figma. So yeah, any questions so far before we move on to the next one? Okay. That's why it's those things I used to and like that segment and it's really coming down. Okay, very good. I will talk about that very next now. Your second question. Okay. Okay, so duplicating is just, so let's say I want to duplicate this one now, right? I can just do Shift Alt, then press, yeah, Shift Alt, then press it down. It's duplicated for you, right? Shift Alt and down. But if you don't want to do that, all you can just do is what? Control C and then what? Control V multiple times. You understand? Is it clear? Now let me talk about this one. Now these things that you are seeing here, they are known as comments. There's any other way to look up before. It's very, 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 very important. Now, when we talk about comments, what do we mean by comments? Now, comments are, they're not just in HTML. They're a general concept in programming. General concept in programming. So when you talk about comments, what exactly are you talking about? Now, let me look for a layman way of explaining this. Comments are used in, don't try, just go ahead.
Comments are used to help other programmers understand what you mean, but they are not visible in the web page.
That's nice. That's it. But one thing about comments is that comments have they have diverse use. A lot of, like, when I say diverse, you have a lot of uses. Now, one of the uses of comments is what you just mentioned. So, for instance, you're working on a big project and you want the programmer to understand what you've written in that particular side. Now, for instance, if you look at select option and fruit, you should know that what this particular page is talking about is select option and basically for fruit. We wrote fruit before, but now it's changed to courses. So now that's one thing about comments. So they make programmers understand your code better. Now, the second thing is that they also make you understand your code better, because there's some codes you've probably written months, you've not checked it out. Then you come back and you check it and say, oh, so what I was talking about here, that's comment. And again, comments will like make you write description. So basically what comments are, they're just for like description that helps other programmers, helps your code to be more readable. That's what comments are. And how do you write comments? As I said, they are when we talk about comments, right? Comments they are like a general concept in programming. That means each language has its own way of writing comments. It's not the same way. For HTML now, to write comments, you open your lesser than bracket, dash, then there should be like this exclamation mark here, dash, then you can have whatever it is you want to have within it. But if you do not want to go through this problem, all you have to do is just what? Do your control /. So control / automatically give it to you, then whatever it is you want to write here. That's your comments. Now that's basically what your comments are. Comments are just to give you description. Just description. That's it. Do you understand? Any question so far? All right, so let's go ahead and write this down. Then in the next 3 minutes, I'm going to move on to CSS.